Hey guys, and welcome back to Let's Play Dark Souls. I apologize, it's been a little while since we had a video. I'm finally recovering from a cold that I've been dealing with for about 12 days. So I apologize if I sound a little off, but yeah, anyway. Today we're going to be tackling my favorite level in the entire game, the Painted World of Ariamis. And no doubt, as you can see here, we've got a little bit of new equipment on. I've put on some of the brass equipment, and I've upgraded my Divine Zweihander to +5. And I've also upgraded a Man-Serpent Greatsword to +10. This Greatsword drops off of the Serpents in Sen's Fortress. And the reason that I went ahead and upgraded this item is because I wanted to have something that I could try out Sunlight Blade on. And Sunlight Blade cannot be, well, basically Divine weapons can't be enchanted. Most specifically enchanted weapons like magic or fire can't be enchanted with spells, but if you have a regular weapon, we can try it out. So let's join Uther as we explore the Painted World and try out some of our new toys. Now then, if you'll remember, we ended our last episode here in the base of the church. This is basically the actual floor area compared to the rafters up above. Oh gosh, we're already getting attacked. These painting guardians are all over the place in here, and they are really, really annoying. They're very fast, actually hit pretty hard, but our new Zweihander pretty handily takes them down. You'll notice that I'm rocking 10 humanity, and that's because I actually went farming. To be able to get the best drop rate in the game, you basically need to have 10 humanity, as well as the covetous gold serpent ring, which explains why I have 10 currently. Now we're going to be trying out the Man-Serpent Greatsword, just so you get a decent idea of how much damage it does. I'm not super familiar with the moveset on this weapon, as is going to become very evident, but as you can see, it's pretty decently hard, about comparable to the Zweihander as far as when you're two-handing it. The difference being, of course, with the Zweihander, I'm one-handing and doing the strong attack, and I get to keep my shield up. You also notice that I've swapped my talisman over to the other hand, and that's because it actually has to be in the opposite hand of whatever you're enchanting, since you have to have both items out to be able to actually do the enchantment. So I want to point out that I've actually never used Sunlight Blade, so this is actually my first time using it, and, well, you'll see. Besides this lovely yellow glow, Sunlight Blade increases the damage of your weapon, basically to an equal amount to your talisman's match adjust stat. And as you can see, it's pretty significant boost to your attack. Once I start two-handing the item, or the weapon, you can really see that this thing is pretty powerful. Of course, I'm exceptionally bad with the Man-Serpent Greatsword, as you can see here. I just don't have the timing down. I honestly have not used it that much. So it's not as impressive as it could be. And also, by the way, I really don't recommend pulling 3 or 4 of those guys at once. They're pretty dangerous alone, much less with a bunch of them. Yeah, I honestly wasn't all that impressed with Sunlight Blade's output, although of course it does increase damage quite a bit. The trade-off is that I don't get to use the weapon that I'm super comfortable with. And frankly, I think I stick with the Zweihander for most of the rest of this area simply because it's something I'm used to. Great Magic Weapon is a sorcery that is actually pretty similar to Sunlight Blade, except of scaling off of your talisman, and actually scales off of your magic stat. Not something you'll be using on a character other than a sorcerer. Or like a spell sword, somebody who uses both magic and strength. Now here we pick up Tarkus's item set. Yeah, Black Iron Tarkus, the badass you saw help me kill the Iron Golem, by which I mean you saw single-handedly destroy the Iron Golem. His items are sitting right over here, which means he died in this church. And honestly, I've never really thought about it, but this item set's actually pretty badass. And as you'll see shortly, we'll probably be rocking the Black Iron set for a little while. Now that with the church cleared out, we're pretty much all done, except I just really want to check out this big, beautiful painting. What a surprise. Yep, we are in the Painted World of Ariamis. We are actually inside of that painting. And the only way that you can actually get access to this area is if you pick up the peculiar doll in your cell at the Undead Asylum Revisited. If you remember, the item description on the doll talked about somebody being sucked into the Painted World. And, well, here we are. Now, as I mentioned before, the Painted World is my favorite level in the game, and I think there are a lot of reasons for that. One is the aesthetic is just so different from anything else in Dark Souls. Suddenly you're on this snow-capped peak. There's like this perpetual twilight with the crickets in the background, all the snow on the trees. It's very interesting visually, but the level design is absolutely top-notch. It's really well put together, it winds in on itself really nicely, some very unique enemies, and overall just a really cool area. So I hope you enjoy it. And I actually took a couple minutes here to do a little bit of character management, as well as putting on the Black Iron set. And as you can see, it looks pretty awesome. We look like quite the badass. This is really, truly heavy armor. And it has incredible physical defenses. I'm excited to try it out. Yep, these first monsters here are pretty familiar faces, but they actually hit quite a bit harder and have quite a bit more health, so definitely be careful and don't get lured into thinking they're your same old undeads from before. Yeah, there's an item hanging up from that that line there, and we'll be able to get that later. If you have a bow, you can actually shoot it down, and I think Uther does wander around the crossbow, but you can't manually aim it, so we're just going to have to deal. Kind of your classic Dark Souls trap there. They put an archer out in the open for you to deal with, but sneak a couple guys up the side for you to have to get ambushed by. Worst are, of course, these bloated undeads. These guys are real bastards because they actually explode with toxic when they die. If you hit them with melee and you're close to them, you will instantly become toxic, and it can be pretty much a death sentence for this area if you're not careful. Luckily, we have our nice long-range lightning spear to continue doing the job. Now, it has been actually a little while since I played this level, so you'll have to bear with me. You'll notice there's some kind of bird creature perched atop that roof. We'll be dealing with him shortly. So I tend to get a little lost, but don't worry, I'll get it. That grunting sound you're hearing is an interesting palette swap for the giant rat. They're these albino rats. There are only a few of them in the game. They're only in this area. And I don't know, it's kind of an interesting addition. not sure what the symbolism is here of having these rats in here, other than they just needed some monsters. I do think it's kind of cool that they have white fur instead of black. And you can see that there's actually an item in that window, and I get a little overzealous trying to figure out exactly how to get there, forgetting the actual method of getting it, but yeah. Yep, there's a lot more of these toxic dudes down here, and I get a little silly and decide I'm going to smack one with my sword, which was just not a great idea. I don't exactly have a lot of blooming purple blossom, and yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what I was thinking there. But hey, now that I'm toxic, you know, I can't exactly get re-toxic, so might as well just stay at the fray. That belching attack that you saw, that actually is toxic gas as well, so they have a couple different ways of infecting you. Just all around douchery. And then I realized that I have one blooming purple moss clump on me, and then I just use it. And there are more of those guys, so yeah. This level's really cool because there's all these different little levels. You kind of got this keep floor, and then you can see down below there's kind of a ground, and this keep has a couple different levels, and it's really neatly put together overall. It's very small, but there's a lot to it, which is probably one of the main reasons why I really like it. I think it's just really smartly designed, and it feels very vertical, which is a lot different from other Dark Souls levels. The other really cool thing is you get a lot of souls here. Everything's worth a lot, and there are tons of those little collectibles. And I wouldn't worry about that giant blob on the bridge over there. It's not even a big deal. The egg vermifuge is an interesting item. It basically cures you of having a egg sac on you. Yeah, interestingly enough, those egg-like creatures that you saw around the spider queen boss, as well as the fair lady, can actually infect you with an egg if you let them hit you. And you can use this item to get rid of the egg. Sort of gross. Here's some more grunty albino rats down below here. I'm just feeling a little paranoid about it. Check the chain. Always check the chain. get a bee in my bonnet to go see if we can figure out how to get that other item, and I'm just not doing it right, but don't worry, I'll get the hang of it in a second. Well, in a few minutes. Oh, hello. Yeah, I think that's as close as I was going to get with the old jumping thing there, so let's we'll just leave it alone for now. Then I remember something. Ah, yes, of course, the old stairs leading to the item instead of the impossible jump trick. But don't worry, it's not as easy as all that. We've got this lovely roof and some very angry-looking bird monsters with some really cool designs that are totally going to leave us alone, I'm sure. Ah, here we go. Yep, these guys are called the Crow Demons, aptly named because they are very crow-like. They have crap loads of hit points. They're rather nimbly-pimbly, and if not taken seriously, they can really mess you up, just like every other monster in the game. And that is easily their most dangerous attack. They do always attack in a straight line, so make sure you don't get hit by it. If they actually hit you with it, they'll land themselves on top of you and start pecking on your face with their heads pretty much until you're dead. So definitely one of those attacks that you really want to avoid. Anyway, here's a jump down onto a balcony, which is what we were trying to get to earlier, where we can pick up the dried finger. Now this is a pretty interesting item. Basically what it does is it reduces the amount of time required in between invasions. So normally once you get invaded, it kind of kicks off a timer that goes down, and once that timer completes, you can actually get invaded again. It's a pretty significant amount of time. But if you really like PvP and you want to get invaded more often, you can just use the dried finger, and it will reduce that time. The dried finger does not get used up on use, so you actually can continue to... Well, you don't really want to spam it because it doesn't make a difference, but if you continue to use it over time, it will continue to draw more and more players to your world. Honestly, I have no idea why anybody would ever want to do that. No, in all seriousness, there's a lot of legitimate PvP players out there for Dark Souls, and I do kind of get it in my somewhat brief experience with PvP in the game. It's just not my particular forte, nor my favorite. Anyway, if we hop down onto this sort of middle area, we get access to basically one extra item over here in the corner. And a crow demon. And yeah, that thing's got a lot of hit points. It is just not even caring about my giant, so I have to attack. Safely dispatch that another bloated undead there from afar. Give ourselves a quick heal and continue exploring. Now that courtyard down there was the same courtyard next to the white rats that we saw earlier. As you can see, this is basically just a quick way to get back to where we were. Yeah, we're going to ignore that direction for now and actually head inside this tower for probably the second most dangerous set of encounters in this area, which is dealing with these crow demons, of which there are endless, it seems. on this incredibly precarious stairwell. It's definitely good to draw them into this more safe platform area instead of dealing with them directly on the stairs, especially if it takes you several hits to kill, like it does me. Souvenir Reprisal is a item for a covenant. They're actually used in the Dark Sun Covenant, Dark Moon Covenant, which is established with Dark Moon Gwendolyn, the son of Gwyn, who we just recently murdered. So that's not necessarily a covenant that we're going to be really dealing with anytime soon. But basically, you use those ears to increase your rank with the covenant. You can see down at the bottom of the keep here is a fog door. Before we get down there, we're going to have to deal with this crow demon. I'm just going to try to lure him back out here because it's just so much safer. I will say that the staggering ability, the ability for this sword to actually knock opponents down, is incredibly useful. Now don't worry, we're not done yet, and this guy's already here, so let's just do this the most dangerous way possible. That was extremely close. And our prize is the Red Sign Soapstone. An interesting little item. This basically allows you to put down your summoning sign, but instead of for jolly cooperation, it actually allows another player to access the sign and summon you to their world for some PvP action. Yeah, so it seems this area is rife with PvP items. Kind of interesting, and I've never really thought about that, and I'm not really sure what it means. Perhaps because this world is secluded from the normal world, there's all these different methods of reaching out to bring phantoms into it. This could be an interesting way to look at it. Anyway, with all these items collected, it's time to head down to the base of the keep and continue exploring the Painted World. And if you were curious what the wrong way to get down is, this is pretty much it. It's easily the most dangerous method to get down, but hey, here we are. Now here we've got the first of two mini-bosses in Painted World of Ariamis. This is the Phalanx, as you can see. Right outside this doorway here is a large group of undead, all carrying shields, and all just kind of hanging out by that statue. And they're immune to attacks until they actually aggro. And they don't seem to give two fucks about Lightning Spear. Yeah, these are all individual enemies, but the cool thing about them is that they are relatively slow, and they are worth loads of souls. Each one of these guys is worth 500, meaning a quick clear gets you 7,500 souls, which is a lot. A lot. They have two different attacks. One is a long-range spear thrust, and the other is a javelin toss. Both of them are pretty dangerous, and you don't want to get hit by them if at all possible. Really, you just don't want to get stuck inside that doorway. You come out here where there's a lot of room to maneuver, you should be able to circle these guys pretty easily, as they have not a lot of maneuverability. that mini-boss actually respawns, making that pillar and the phalanx pretty much the best grinding spot in Dark Souls. If you can find a way to kill those guys very quickly, you will amass souls without really much effort at all. So yeah, we are now down on the base level of the keep. That item that we just picked up before was the item that we cut down from a rope from a balcony up above. And yeah, this place is basically a whole bunch of speared, maybe phantoms, if we keep going with the whole lure people into invading and then murder them scheme, as well as a bunch of gravestones. This is, I got myself in a very, very dangerous situation very quickly there, but luckily we were able to get out without dying. And here's the other rope that we saw at the very beginning of the game. We can now go pick up that item. Although it would be a very long walk, currently. There is a second part of this side area. There's a little descent down into the dungeons beneath the keep, but we're going to actually be ignoring that for now and returning in just a few minutes. Good God, I don't even... Why are we doing this? This is not... Well, okay, I guess we've decided to actually explore this area, so... Nope, I think I'm realizing what this is and deciding, yeah... I'm not quite ready for this. We need to open up our, spoilers, our shortcut back to the bonfire before we explore this. This is easily the most dangerous room in the level, and I want to make sure we are ready for it. You may recognize this large doorway, and this is actually our shortcut back to the very beginning of the level. Just a nice little way to sort of make the level feel very small, even though that was quite the large walk around that we just did. No need to rest at the bonfire just yet. We still got plenty of Estus flasks, and I want to deal with all the monsters respawning, so let's take on this room. There's actually a new enemy in here that we haven't dealt with before, called the Wheel Skeleton. And these guys are, for lack of a better term, just complete and utter bastards. They basically spin really quickly and do shitloads of damage in very quick succession to you. They can destroy your stamina very quickly if you're blocking, and they can chew through your health without much effort at all. As you saw there, I barely brushed into the guy and he kind of started wrecking me already. This room is of course much more dangerous to the player that hasn't actually done it yet, simply because once you kind of figure out where all the wheel skeletons are, it does become easier. You know how many there are, you know kind of where they are, and you know not to let your guard down. Still, this room gives me heart palpitations every time I come here. You can see there, he chewed through my stamina pretty quickly, and he was not even done spinning before he moved out of my way, so yeah, definitely take these guys seriously. With that one killed, we've almost cleared out the level. last persistent little fuck to deal with. And now we're good to go. Oh, nope. One more sneaky little bastard. Luckily, the Zweihander very quickly makes quick work of them, and we're able to clear out the room without too much effort. And of course, there's a little secret door there. Sorry, illusory wall. And that has actually opened up our path to the boss. So actually, as you can see, this is a pretty short level, really. Although there are still a couple side areas for us to explore and loot. First of which is this incredibly quiet and very creepy, I don't know, stake yard. It reminds me of stories about Vlad the Impaler, who just scattered his lands with these pikes with people just speared on him all over the place. It is just incredibly disgusting and horrifying. Actually just now noticing it, listening to the playthrough, but there's actually this incredibly creepy, like, ethereal sort of choral music in the background here. It is just absolutely giving me the creeps, I'm not gonna lie. Well, this is the kind of final side area of the level, but of course it's locked and we haven't gone to pick up the key yet, so let's go do that really quick. And to do that, we must go down the well, which is never a good idea. Yeah, if you thought wheel skeletons in a big open area was bad, let's try it in tiny little enclosed corridors, because that's fun. I seem to remember distinctly and possibly fondly coming down here, just running down the corridor this direction, and just getting murderated from behind by the wheel skeletons. And ever since that exact moment, I have had a very healthy fear of them. And yeah, if you'll notice, I'm not sure if I show it just yet. Yep, this is actually the other area that we were just clearing. That's the illusory wall that we opened up. see those guys just do so much damage. Alright, we've got the annex key. Let's just get the fuck out of here. And by that I mean keep exploring. It's okay. It's just another passage back. There is another couple corridors down there with some more wheel skeletons, but there's no actual loot that I remember. And honestly, I don't really want to deal with too many more of those guys than I have to. Because it seems like fun to get a little ballsy with my souls and my humanity, and my dwindling supply of Estus flasks, we decided to take on the final area of the Painted World. Because, I don't know, I need to be humbled, apparently. Always check the corners. Yep, it's a good thing we got a couple more lightning spears on us, because there are a couple more of these bloated dudes that we gotta deal with. Or, you know, that could happen. Twice. Dark Souls. Well, we're out of lightning spears. There is a dude down there that I'm pretty sure if I kill will give me the toxic. There's also an item down there I want, so... Yeah, I'm really trying to figure out what the best approach is here and decide, you know what, F it, you know, this is Let's Play Dark Souls. We're not dicking around here. Although it kind of feels like I'm dicking around here. Especially because, oh good, birds. Alright, we got that Dark Ember. Let's just get the fuck out of here because, honestly, screw that guy. Screw his fire breath. Screw his toxic. Screw him. Just off the cliff and die. The Dark Ember is a variant on the Divine Ember. It's actually a kind of side upgrade path that's called Occult. And honestly, I'm not really sure I understand the difference between Occult and Divine. Based on some of the numbers and stuff that I've looked at, they don't really seem to make much difference. I think it basically just lowers even the stat boosts even more. It's like if you have good strength and then you go Divine, you have kind of decent strength. If you go Occult, it drops the strength to even lower, but it boosts your Faith boost. So basically it's really good if you're only going Faith, whereas Divine's a little better if you have some strength and you want to retain that bonus. So I guess I really shouldn't have said that I didn't know what I was talking about. Anyway, I'm expecting a bunch of birds to be here, but apparently they already came down and messed with me, and since I still haven't rested a bonfire, I still don't have to deal with them. The Mask of Velka and the other cleric items are actually the cleric items that are equipped by, well, Velka himself, who is the absolutionist that we met back in the Undead Parish, the guy who will allow you to absolve your sins. I haven't really talked too much about the sinning system in the game, but basically, if you have sinned, there are certain covenants that actually can invade you more easily, because they're basically like these, they kind of cleanse the sin, as it were. And most sins you can cleanse by going and talking to Velka and paying 500 souls times your level, which is just an incredible cost, by the way. It's absolutely ridiculous. But it does absolve you of all sins. However, killing Darkmoon Gwendolyn means that you're sinned for the entire playthrough, and there's really nothing you can do about it. So, even though we're playing a faith guy, we're pretty much bad. Yeah, I contemplate spending my souls, but I decided, you know what, F it, we're gonna go do a couple more things before we come back here. So let's just stick with it. But as you can no doubt see, you do just get a ridiculous amount of souls in this area. And we haven't even fought a boss yet. As I mentioned before, the Phalanx does respawn, and this is a great way to grind up your souls relatively quickly. As I found, the Psyhander, with its just incredible reach, is a really good way of clearing these guys out pretty quickly. Or not so quickly. Now, like I said before, the boss is, or the end of the level, I guess I should say, is right down that hallway. But before we go down there, we have a amorphous blob that I alluded to at the beginning of the LP that we need to go deal with. So let's go see what that's all about. First death in the whole LP. Yep, it's your friendly neighborhood undead dragon. And, yeah, I'm already doing really poorly against him. He only has a couple major attacks. He basically has a range attack, which is fills an area with a whole bunch of poison goo. And he also has a couple close range attacks, including a claw and bite. But I realized pretty quickly that it's probably going to be in my best interest to just stay at range. It's very predictable and very slow, and just slowly whittling down the fighting speed. Creature is vanquished, and we can pick up his loot. Dragon scales, if I haven't talked about them, are for upgrading specifically dragon weapons, which are weapons that are dropped by or made from dragons. Well, with the undead dragon defeated, we've pretty much cleaned out this level. There's not really much else for us to do other than head through that doorway and see what lies beyond. You know, looking at it, I think there are two reasons why I like this level really largely. One is, of course, the level design, which I think is really top-notch, including the actual theme of the level. But honestly, I think the second reason is just how deliciously fat with souls you are by the time you're done with it. There are just so many souls to be had down here. Yep, we have one more respawning heavy knight here, blocking our way between, well, blocking us from the fog door at the end of the hall here. And this particular heavy knight is pretty much the same as all the rest of them. It's very hard, has a lot of defense and armor. The only real difference is you don't have a lot of room to play here, mainly because of this very narrow corridor that you're fighting him on. As always, he's rather slow and easy to predict, and easily vanquished.
Who art thou? One of us thou art not. If thou hast misstepped into this world, plunge down from the plank and hurry home. If thou seekest I, thine desires shall be requited not.
Okay.
Thou must returneth whence thou came. This land is peaceful, its inhabitants kind, but thou dost not belong. I beg of thee, plunge down from the plank and hurry home.
Yep, this is the
Thou
only
must
boss in the
return
game
this
that will actually not fight you upon entering their arena, and actually begs you to just leave her alone. And honestly, I have a hard time not leaving her alone. She's just so polite. Yep. See you later. And with that, we're back in the church in Orlando. Yeah, Priscilla basically is an optional boss in that you can actually get to her chamber and still not deal with her. You can always go back to the Painted World, but every time you go there, you are stuck there until you either exit via that plank or via killing the boss. If ever you do aggro her, she will remain aggroed permanently, so definitely make sure that you're actually fully able to kill her before engaging her in combat. Seriously, freaking hate those guys. That's the wrong direction there. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the Painted World as much as I do. It is definitely a super fun level. It's full of all kinds of neat stuff. And now I've got a lot of souls to go through before we get ready for the next part of the game. So we'll see you next time when we actually conclude the area of Norlando and face off against two of the more frustrating challenges of the game. So be excited for that. We'll see you next time on Let's Play Dark Souls.